Kia ora, Graham Smith here from ALEC to discuss what you need to do for your Task 3 assessment. So this relates to Section 3 of our NCALNE VOC qualification and training, and the focus here is on knowing the demands and using the learning progressions to map the training demands, the literacy and numeracy demands of your particular training. Make sure you've got your study guide and your assessment guide handy so that you can find the extra information that you might need. So here's the big picture again. We've moved through sections 1 and 2. We're focusing on the mapping side of things, which is number 3 on the infographic here from literacynumeracypro.com. So this is just to situate you in terms of the whole process for embedding and also the 7 parts of the qualification. So in a nutshell, what you have to do is use the best guess mapping process that we talk about to analyze the training demands of your program. So you're mapping the literacy and numeracy demands of your training program. So you need to do this in terms of the big picture for your course, as well as some specific examples of training resources and texts. So we're using the learning progressions framework, and as we've mentioned, this process is called mapping. So if you haven't done already, you need to familiarize yourself with this framework, with the learning progressions. It's online, and you probably already have a hard copy of it in your study pack as well if you're doing our course. So what we're aiming for here is a working understanding of how to use the learning progressions. So what do you need to know? There are several specific things you need to know in order to complete Task 3, and here they are. You need to know about your context. This is your particular organizational and training context. You need to know what your objectives are for your training. You need to know about this mapping process and how to do it, and how to do it in general. We're thinking here of the broad brushstrokes demands of your course, as well as for some specific samples. And we don't think you need to map everything, but we think that if you have a go at trying to map across your course in general first, and then picking on some specific samples, that gives you enough of an idea as to what the literacy and numeracy demands are. So what do you need to do? You need to complete the Task 3 template. Like our other assessment tasks, there's a template. Just download it and use that to guide you. Hard copy, of course, is in your assessment guide. So the template's there to prompt you for all the necessary information you need to help you collect the evidence that we need to sign off on. So make sure you supply a record of your mapping. And again, this is in the template. There's boxes there in the strand charts for you to shade in. Make sure you write up your analysis. We need some comments and discussion from you around what the literacy and numeracy demands are. So the visual side of the mapping is one part of it, but writing up the specifics around your particular texts and tasks is another part of it. So talk about what you think your analysis means, and also talk about the specific literacy and numeracy demands. Talk about examples of calculations, technical jargon, specialized terminology, other things, resources and activities, and so on. So whatever you've used to justify your decisions here, it's helpful for us to know that. You can follow the copy of the template in your assessment guide, but we really like it if you could download the electronic version and you can just type straight into that. Make sure you provide examples of tasks and texts, including details that show us how you arrived at your judgments and decisions regarding the particular steps, the literacy numeracy steps that you've analyzed your training at. So also try and think about what kind of diagnostic assessments and processes you might need to use next based on this analysis. Think about what kind of literacy and numeracy resources you might be able to work on or create at a later stage based on what you're analyzing here. Just a little bit of further discussion around writing up your analysis. We really need to see some examples, or for you to talk about examples of tasks and texts. So we need to know how you arrived at your judgments, and there are sentence starters that you can use. Feel free to ignore them if you don't like them, but if you don't want to think about it too much, just use the sentence starter that's there, and here's some examples on the screen. You know, you might say something like, the sample text that I use was, you know, it could be a reading task from your carpentry workshop. Some specific reading skill demands include vocabulary, for example. If you're working with tools or you're working with complicated concepts, you're going to need some specialized language to talk about that. So vocabulary is where I usually start. And often in trades and vocational training, the vocabulary demands are usually at least at step 4 or 5, because you're talking about that specialized language again. And give us some examples. Alright, that's it. Thanks very much for listening. Any problems, give us a call, send us an email. We're always happy to help. Kia ora, thank you.